Brandi Rhodes reportedly has positive discussions with WWE. Could she be about to return to the company in the near future? Cody Rhodes, we know what his first match back on Monday Night Raw will be, as WWE has announced that for tonight's episode. We have an update when it comes to WWE's impending return to Saudi Arabia later this year. The Tag Team Championships, are they about to be unified? And we have a match made official for WrestleMania Backlash. All this and more in today's WWE News. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of WWE. So let's start off talking about Brandi Rhodes. Now, this one's really interesting because Cody Rhodes, of course, his return to WWE was the worst kept secret in pro wrestling recently. Everyone knew that he was going to return, but we were told pretty early on, and it was reported widely pretty early on, that Cody Rhodes was not going to be returning with his wife Brandi. Now, of course, when he left WWE, Brandi Rhodes also left with him, but she was a staple with him, whether it was in Ring of Honor, New Japan, Impact, on the indie scene, and in AEW. She was his manager, in his corner, wrestled as well in all of these various companies. But we were told, no, Brandi Rhodes is not coming back with Cody Rhodes to WWE, but that might be changing. Now, Brandi Rhodes, of course, was backstage with Cody Rhodes for her husband's triumphant WWE comeback at WrestleMania 38. According to Fightful Select, which of course is Sean Ross Sapp, although Brandi hasn't initially been brought in with Cody on WWE television, she had, quote, many productive conversations with several influential names on WrestleMania weekend. It was noted that Brandi has been working on her unscripted content and has continued to train in the ring. We've heard about her shopping around a shot of Brandi and possibly a reality series as well. Now, Brandi posted a picture of herself and Cody backstage after WrestleMania 38. She has appeared in numerous videos of Cody getting ready for the match when he's sneaking around backstage at AT&T Stadium and all that kind of stuff. Brandi was there. As I mentioned, when her and Cody left AEW, it was widely reported, no, it's not going to be a case of Brandi and Cody coming back to WWE. It's just Cody Rhodes that WWE is frankly interested in. Now, in the aftermath of her AEW exit, Brandi Rhodes has been reportedly looking to take her Shot of Brandi cooking show to a television network. According to Deadline, Daiga Studios, I think that's how you pronounce it, is currently shopping the project to broadcasters and streamers. Whether or not that actually happens, we'll have to wait and see. Honestly, I wouldn't be shocked, if she did come back to WWE. I would be lying if I said, I think like most fans, clamoring to see Brandi Rhodes come back. I think part of the real big problem with her in AEW was that she was being forced into that women's division in spots that she just really, and this is no disrespect, but she didn't really just have any business being in. It was kind of, again, it was kind of the problem with the Cody Rhodes booking in AEW. Certainly wasn't it of, Cody Rhodes is a big star. You just don't understand. He's a big star. He's a big star. You know how a big star Cody Rhodes is, right? And it was kind of the same with Brandi Rhodes, but at least with Cody, there was the lineage and there is, he is a good wrestler and he's got some form of popularity. And Brandi, it just felt even more forced. And again, it's no disrespect against her, but there are some really, really talented in-ring workers in AEW. And you go back to the early days of AEW, the Nightmare Collective, it was just like a forced angle and it was bad. And her role was great as a manager. She is a good manager. She can get involved at ringside. Her best work comes is when she's a manager with Cody. She's getting involved in matches and she's part of the entrance and maybe does cut a promo and all that kind of stuff. That's where she's really most effective. Now, could she come in the future? I think it's inevitable that she will. Now, I don't know if the WWE, just pure WWE fans, will care that much for Eden Styles returning, but they'll know who Brandi Rhodes is, and they know that she used to work for the company. She was a ring announcer there for a while. She never wrestled when she was in WWE, but she did ring announcing, she did interviewing, I think she did some, presenting work as well. But it's inevitable that she will return to WWE because even if WWE isn't initially interested in her, the story will come up at some point where it's Cody and Brandi versus Edge and Beth Phoenix, or Corey Graves and Carmella, or Bianca Belair and Montez. It will come up. There are plenty of wrestling couples in WWE, so it will come up eventually. Or just any point, it will come up that someone takes a shot at Brandi, and that leads to her coming in. So it's inevitable that she will come in. Whether she'll be full time, I wouldn't be shocked if she came in and was a presenter, say for, I mean, the network, if the WWE Network was still around in its old form, where WWE was creating content for that, and when I say content, I mean way more documentaries, way more behind-the-scenes stuff, way more unscripted programming, then absolutely I could see that. Whether it comes to now, they don't really care for it as much because they've already got Peacock's money when it comes to producing stuff for the WWE Network. But I could see her possibly coming in and doing that, and look, who knows? Who knows? So I think it's inevitable that she will return. To be honest, right now for her to return, I don't think it's the right time anyway. I think the spotlight has to be on Cody Rhodes, and the story they're trying to tell at the moment is Cody, and they said it out on Raw last week, is Cody coming back. He wants to win the championship his father couldn't. He wanted to hand that championship, not the exact one obviously, but the WWE championship, he wanted to win it and hand it to Dusty Rhodes and say they can't take it off you like they did in 1977. That's not possible, but his goal is to still become the WWE champion. That's the story right now, and not to say that Brandi Rhodes takes anything away from Cody Rhodes, because I don't think she does, but it's just not needed at this point, and I think that's something that can come later on. So, and again, and I'm not the biggest Brandi Rhodes fan, I'm not really the biggest Cody Rhodes fan, but I just don't think now is the right time. But I think if you were to rule it out and say, nah, she's never going to come back, it's almost slightly naive. She will come back at some point, and I just think that she won't be forced as much as she was forced in AEW. And I think that was part of the real biggest problem with her at AEW is whenever she appeared on television, it felt really forced of her being in that spot. So, like I said, I think it's inevitable she will return, but probably not anytime soon. Now, speaking of Cody Rhodes, it has been announced his first match back on Raw tonight will be against The Miz. This will be his first match on Monday Night Raw in 6 years. Now, it's funny because I saw a lot of sort of polarizing reaction to Cody Rhodes being announced. This was announced on SmackDown on Friday, or during that time on social media, that Cody Rhodes would be facing The Miz. And as always, look, there are always going to be people that complain, but my response whenever you hear these complaints, because the complaint was, he's going up against The Miz. This is a match they've had before. What's new? There's nothing fresh about this one. It's against the guy that was there when he was there last. And again, it's like, okay, what do you want then? Because, it's the same, these are the same people that also complain when it's like CM Punk versus Max Caster in AEW. They'll go, he's going up against all these sort of nobodies or lower people on the card or tag team people on AEW Dynamite. When is he going to go up against the big guys? When is he going to have these big matches? Oh yeah, let's just blow through them all on television. Cody Rhodes has been back in WWE for 2 weeks at this point. You want his first match on Raw to be against, I don't know, Seth Rollins again? Or you want his first match on Raw to be against someone he's never faced before? Let's have him up against, I don't know, whoever on Monday Night Raw. Have him go up against Edge. You know, why would they do that? Why? Cody Rhodes is going to win this match. What better person, frankly, to go up against than The Miz? The Miz is bulletproof. The Miz is at this stage in his career where he's been in WWE for over 15 years, nearly 20 years. And it doesn't matter if he loses on television or he wins, because he's still The Miz. He's still over. And he can still go. He's a former WWE champion. He's the only person to win the Grand Slam championship in WWE twice. You know, there is stock there, and it will be a good match, and it doesn't really matter. Why should they blow a first time ever or a big time match that they can save for the future, or they can save for a pay-per-view, premium live event, when it actually matters? Cody's going to win the match. It's about Cody and who's the person he can go up against, because if he goes up against, say, I don't know, Damian Priest, and he beats him straight away, they'll be like, burying Damian Priest for Cody Rhodes. You know, they can't win. They just can't win in this situation. So I think this is a fine opponent. He's going to win, and it's going to continue the story. I'm sure Seth Rollins will probably be there, and I think that's what they'll be building to. They're building towards another Rollins versus Rhodes match or a WrestleMania Backlash. That's what they're building towards. So again, I just look at this and I say, like, what do you want then? Like, what do you want if you're complaining? The match will be fine. It's not necessarily about the opponent. It's about Cody Rhodes. It's about the spotlight. That's really, truly it. So the people that are complaining about that, my response to all of it is always, what do you want? Again, I think the CM Punk in AEW is a great example. Oh, he's going up against Max Caster. He's going up against Hobbs, or he's going up against whoever. Oh, why is he going up against them? Because it's TV. Save it for when it matters. Save it for pay-per-views. Save it for big events. Save it for TV specials. Why blurry things so quickly? So the match will be fine as well. And again, it's not even really about the match quality. It's about Cody Rhodes' first match back on Monday Night Raw in 6 years. That's the selling point. So why waste everything else? You know, use a bit of logic here. I beg of you. Actually, WWE is doing it for once, so I credit them for that. Now, speaking of WWE, they're going to be returning to Saudi Arabia later this year. It's become routine, of course, that WWE returns to Saudi Arabia each year to feature some of their premium live events, and this year will be no different. The plans for the Saudi Arabia show this fall are currently being finalized, according to a new report from PW Insider. It adds that WWE and their superstars will once again be returning around Halloween time, likely for the first week of November or the final week of October, which is when they usually go, to be honest with you. Now, a conflicting report from Andrew Zarian of the F4W Online noted that WWE is actually scheduled to return to the Kingdom in September, and word is this will be for a TLC 2022 event. A specific date and venue for the TLC show has not been confirmed as of the recording right now. Now, of course, this is part of the 10-year partnership that WWE has with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, or what's it called, the Saudi General Sports Authority, whatever, with Saudi Arabia. So they're going to be going back in the fall. I don't know. I mean, again, TLC, possibly. I mean, it will be a loaded show. Again, arguably, this is what's crazy. It's arguably these shows are bigger than WrestleMania. Now, people will say, oh, and you can't say that as sacrilege, but financially, they make more money than WrestleMania. They do. And they've started treating them like that. Their stadium shows, the last show that they had there was absolutely stacked. Elimination Chamber. It was the same at Crown Jewel last year. And they've been good shows, to be honest. Good shows to watch. So, and it doesn't change the perspective around them. It doesn't change the sort of questionable nature of doing business with them. It doesn't change all of that kind of stuff. But WWE realize, you know, where their bread is buttered, and that's with these Saudi financial deals. They are so profitable to WWE, so that's why they load these shows up, and I expect it to be no different. Dates: September, October, November. It's going to be towards the end of the year. September would be surprising because, of course, we know that at the beginning of September we're going to have the UK stadium show, and I just don't know whether WWE would be willing to do 2 stadium shows that close. So I think end of October, start of November is more likely, just to give a bit of distance. But look, WWE had, remember the infamous The Fiend versus Seth Rollins match at Hell in the Cell. That was just, days after, literally, or a week after a Crown Jewel show. So don't be shocked by anything when it comes to all that kind of stuff. Seriously, do not be shocked. The Tag Team Championships could be going the same way as the WWE Universal Championship in being unified soon. WWE is now teasing the Raw Tag Team titles will be unified with the SmackDown Tag Team titles. This came on this last week's post-WrestleMania 38 edition of SmackDown, where the undisputed Universal Champion Roman Reigns came to the ring with Paul Heyman and SmackDown Tag Team Champions the Usos. Now, regarding his next step, the Tribal Chief said he doesn't think he can really do much more as he's accomplished everything as of now, but there's plenty for the bloodline to achieve. He commented on how he sees Jimmy Uso and Jey Uso with 1 bout apiece while he has 2, and that's not enough. So he said that they should go to Raw and unify the Raw Tag Team Championships with the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. Now, I don't think this is a bad idea at all, to be honest. You know, I think that the tag team divisions on both shows, there are good tag teams there, but the depth is very shallow. And I think a unification would be great, and seeing the champions go across both shows would be great. Whether or not it's feasible or possible, I mean, even the undisputed Universal Championship is going to be split at some time in the near future, because you think USA Network are happy that that the champion's got both bouts on SmackDown? Of course not. And their very expectation is, well, whilst he's got the WWE Championship, he better be appearing on Monday Night Raw as well, and we don't know that to be a fact. So they are going to split him up in the future. The tag team championships are different. They don't take priority. So to have a tag team appearing on both shows, they do it with the females, so why not do it with the males? Right? What's the difference? Equality. So I think that's the direction they'll be going in. And I think it'll be great. Talk about putting the real push behind the stable. Not only have you got Reigns holding both singles bouts, but you could have the Usos holding both tag bouts. Now, that would be interesting. So next you'll have the third Uso come up from NXT, and he'll hold both the Intercontinental and the US Championship. I'm kind of joking, but who knows? He wants to challenge for the North American Championship. Maybe he holds all 3. Maybe the Bloodline hold every championship in WWE. anything's possible at this point. Finally, a match has been announced for WrestleMania Backlash, a rematch from WrestleMania because it's WrestleMania Backlash, and it's going to be an I Quit match because Ronda Rousey challenged Charlotte Flair to a rematch. This time it's going to be an I Quit match at WrestleMania Backlash. It has been made official. Honestly, I think Ronda Rousey wins. It was kind of surprising, frankly, that she didn't win at WrestleMania. I think most people expected her to. Maybe it was because they wanted to drag out this story further. Maybe it's because they knew it wasn't going to be the main event of night one, even though initially that might have been the plan. Once Steve Austin agreed to appear and certainly agreed to have a match, Steve Austin had to be in the main event because nothing could follow that. And frankly, Ronda Rousey and Charlotte Flair struggled to follow the first female match of the night anyway, between Bianca Belair and Becky Lynch anyway, or Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins. So they were always going to be in trouble. They were always going to be struggling, in my opinion. So I think it was right that they didn't main event. Wouldn't be shocked, honestly, if this one did main event, though. Maybe Ronda Rousey gets the main event that she wanted or thought or was promised, shall we say, at WrestleMania. So wouldn't be shocked if this does main event, and I think Ronda Rousey honestly will win. And again, I didn't really care much for the match going into WrestleMania. I didn't think the match at WrestleMania was all that. I thought it was fine, but I didn't think it was all that. And I expect the same for WrestleMania Backlash. I think it's going to be the same. I don't really honestly care that much. Anyway, guys, let me know your thoughts on today's WWE news stories in the comment section below. Be sure to like and subscribe to Wrestle News 365, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.